How you doing, folks? This is episode 13 of finding your own superpower and finding your own greatness. And for people suffering from autism and Asperger's and people who are neurodiverse. So, last episode, I was talking about greatness and trying to figure out what you're great at and figuring out what you can do with it, how you can pursue it, and how you can possibly turn that into a new career or focus on extending your job into becoming a real career by using your strengths and figuring out what you're best at. So, there have been some authors that have expanded upon these ideas that I'm talking about. Gallup polling company polls tens of thousands of people. They polled people working, and they found, I think they polled upwards of 10 million people, and they found that 7 of the 10 million, so 70% of people are in jobs that they don't like. They got stuck with it. A lot of times they go for the money, and they are stuck in a job that they didn't really go to school for, they really don't like, and they're not being able to use their strengths, their natural abilities, to the best of their abilities because the jobs that they're in are holding them back. And most people don't know how to get out of that. So, with this, I'm talking about there's called Strengthsfinders 2.0, and also it's called The Truth About You. So these are two good books in order to figure out what your strengths are. So I'm going to just start off, read a couple excerpts of this. Um, so it talks about for this study that they did. Um, if your manager primarily ignores you, the chances that you are actively engaged. So what they call actively disengaged is actually what they're now calling quiet quitting. Um, if your manager ignores you, 40% are quiet quitting. If you focus on your weaknesses, your quiet quitting, it goes to 22%. If you focus on your strengths and are able to use that in the job that you are in, only 1% of people are quiet quitting. So a lot of people after COVID figured out, oh my God, I'm in the wrong business and people are dying left and right, and I think I need to figure something out. So they haven't figured it out yet, but what they have figured out is that they don't like what they're doing. And so it talks about that there's a misguided maximum. You can be anything you want to be if you just try hard enough. That's not true. Um, talks about most parents tell their kids that they can do that. I'm 5'4". I cannot be a great NBA basketball player. Plus, I'm pretty old for that, so I could go on the basketball court and practice all I want, but more than likely it's not going to happen. So um, you cannot be anything you want, but you can be a lot more of who you already are. So, do you know who you are? That's the great question. Most people don't. Most people have ignored a lot of this looking at who they really are and what they can actually give to society in positive ways. A lot of the times people get sucked up into the responsibilities and their obligations, and they get sucked into having to make money, impressing people, and spending lots of money on frivolous things. So the question is, do you dread going to work? Do you have more negative than positive interactions with your colleagues? Do you treat your customers poorly? Tell your friends what a miserable company you're working for? Do you achieve less on a daily basis? Have fewer positive and creative moments? Do you have any creativity uh, in your job? Is Do you know how to make your job more creative? Um, so most people think they know what they're good at. You're usually wrong, and yet a person can perform only from strength. So a lot of times people have no idea what their strengths are. So um, strength is talent, a natural way of thinking, feeling, and behaving, uh, multiplied by investment, time spent practicing, developing your skills, and building your knowledge base, equals your strength, your ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. So I'm going to stop here with this. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is called The Truth About You. So this is a diary, and this is going to, the idea is to help you ask questions of yourself in order to figure out what you are great at and what you can do to change your life. So starts off with first reactions. Um, so there's three truths that the author Marcus Buckingham talks about. He's written several books on how you can figure out how to develop your strengths. And so this is like a notebook, a diary to set up, you writing down what you notice about yourself. But there's three truths that he wants to get you to understand. As you grow, you become more and more of who you already are. During your life, your dreams may change, your values may change, and your skills will certainly change. But the core of your personality, how patient you are, how competitive, how organized, how charming, will remain remarkably stable through the course of your life. So your personality is what is actually built up in your first 7 years of your life, and it doesn't really change unless there's something drastic that's almost life-threatening, and still your personality won't really change a lot. So, truth two, you grow most in the areas of your greatest strengths. It sounds odd, but you will improve the most, learn the most, be the most creative, be the most inquisitive, and bounce back the fastest in those areas where you have already shown some natural advantage over everyone else, your strengths. This does not mean you should ignore your weaknesses. It means you'll grow the most where you're already strong. So if the author talks about how when you are in school and you come home with a good grade and a bad grade, a lot of the times parents unwittingly focus on trying to get the child to build up the bad grade instead of telling the child, let's work on that, but how about let's focus on your strengths, and let's look into that, and maybe you can build up those strengths and they can compensate for your weaknesses. A great Truth number 3: a great team player volunteers his or her strengths to the team most of the time and deliberately partners with people who have different strengths. Of course, you will occasionally have to step out of your strength zone and do whatever it takes to help the team, but it isn't the core of teamwork. The core of teamwork is partnering with people whose strengths are different from your own. So, um, this is an intro, and we're going to be building on understanding our strengths more and more. One of the keys to this book, and I'm going to be shutting this podcast down, but one of the keys is just look for what your interests are and what gives you energy. What can you do? What are you able to do that all of a sudden you get lost in? And like one of the questions on one of my previous podcasts was, do you get lost in doing something and you lose time doing that? If you are forgetting about the rest of your life, that's not a good idea. But setting up a time in which you can focus in on these strengths, these things that you like to do, these things that you're great at, and then you can focus in on finding out what your strengths naturally are. And you will know what they are because you'll be able to just write down in a diary, what do I like to do? Why do I like to do it? What is it that I like about it? How can I turn this into something positive that can make me um, feel better about myself? And can I turn this into a career? Would I want to do this as a career? If I can't do this specific thing, what related to it can I do to to be able to look into building a career doing what I love? So those are the things that we need to look at. So I'm going to leave it at that, and have a good night.